Okay, great. So, all of you parents out there, you know this about us, but I really like to ground all of our presentations and all of our work in the IB, right? So as an IB school, we are extremely proud to offer such a highly challenging curriculum. It's internationally recognized and it is highly recognized as an excellent preparation for university. So IB has really excellent acceptance rates at top universities. And when we were selecting a curriculum for Willows Prep, there were many ways we could go. But really, IB's numbers speak for themselves. And I'm going to show you just a few examples of that. So at Harvard, here's just an example that Harvard has a higher acceptance rate for IB diploma students. So 12.2% acceptance rate versus a 5.1% acceptance rate in a non-IB program. At Stanford, 17% to 4.65. And MIT, a 23.1% versus a 7.2%. And again, these numbers speak for ourselves. Our students that go through the DP program are extremely prepared for university, and the universities know this. So I love to think about what we do as a school to support our DP students. And there are many, many things that we do, but there are three that I would like to highlight today. For our DP and our future DP parents. One is the IB Diploma. So we offer the IB Diploma, which is, like I just showed, a very rigorous preparation for college. We offer an incredible college counseling program, and you're going to be learning more about that. So our program is highly individualized, year-round, weekly coaching and guidance, refining of student goals and college aspirations, coaching for interviews, letters, and essays, and connections with college. I really can't be and proud we are to offer such an individualized college counseling program. And then also we offer T preparation from a student, um, and test advice counselor based on results highly individualized. And of these things. And Mr. Clark, if you want to jump in at any time, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, I might just add that, like with the previous slide with the three colleges and the acceptance rates being higher, that's pretty consistent, not just with highly selective schools, but most colleges will have some sort of pattern that shows that IB students are accepted at a higher rate. And in fact, when students fill out the common application, which is an application that most students will fill out because it allows them to put in information once and then select a number of schools to send that info to instead of having to fill out individual apps for each school. There's actually a spot on the application that asks specifically, is this student an IB diploma candidate? And the belief that I have, and from what I've heard from colleges, is if students are able to check that box, they automatically are put in a separate pile for evaluation. And so you don't see that box for AP, you don't see that box for other options, just for the IB. So yeah, everything I know about the IB and colleges is that they really believe students are the best prepared coming through the IB program. So that's all I have to add at the moment. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So some brief stats about the IB Diploma at WPS. So the IB Diploma course of study is for grades 11 and 12. There are 6 subjects, and each one is a 2-year course. There are 3 standard level courses that students will take, and there are 3 higher level courses that students will take. And the core requirements of these are the Creativity, Activity, and Service, otherwise known as CAS, theory of knowledge, or otherwise known as TOK, and the extended essay, the EE. And we'll definitely be talking about those more in just a minute. The IB Diploma Requirements. So students must take at least 3 standard level and 3 higher level courses. There's 240 recommended hours for the higher level course. And examinations are taken in their senior year. And for standard level, there's 150 recommended hours for those courses, with a maximum of 2 subjects that can be taken their first year for the higher level. So there's 1 course from groups 1 through 5 each, and then a 6th subject from either group 6 or any other group. And I'll give you some examples from current DP students to see what they took or what they chose. And then, of course, you have to complete the core requirements, which would be the extended essay, the CAS project, and TOK. Okay, so these are our current DP students. They are first class. And they are the class of 2023. And this is, I'm not going to go through this in detail, but you can really take a look here and see the different pathways that students take. And you can see, so for example, Kat, she took 1 course in each of the 5 groups, and then she chose her 6th class as another language class. So she's taking Spanish and Mandarin, so that was her choice. So students really have the opportunity to choose courses that are going to prepare them exactly for the degree or the university that they want to go into. So some of our students are taking more design and math. Some of them are taking more individuals and societies classes like business management and psychology. And then some of them are taking the higher level language and lit. So, it's something that we really work with students and parents to understand what the courses are. And, it is a commitment. It's a 2-year commitment that students will make. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in just another slide or two. Okay, so just a little bit about CAS, TOK, and EE. As IB coordinator, I'm very proud of how we do these core disciplines within the IB at WPS. So for creativity, activity, and service, candidates complete a CAS project of their choice. And, as the name states, they have to demonstrate creativity, activity, and service is really the key there. Their project has to serve others. The candidates demonstrate through reflection that they have accomplished each of 8 learning outcomes. And something that is so amazing and unique about how WPS does CAS is that students get weekly dedicated time with the CAS coordinator, Mr. Razum. So this is something that most schools don't do. Students are required to do CAS on their own, and they meet with their coordinator, here and there in their free time. But we really, believe in giving students the time and the dedicated space to really do a good job and to not stress too much, or as much as they might if they didn't have dedicated time. So we're really proud of that. Next is the theory of knowledge, or TOK. This is such a cool class. This is where candidates study and discuss various areas and ways of knowing. So they ask really deep questions like, how do we know what we think we know? What is knowledge? Candidates conduct presentations on current issues as they relate to these knowledge questions. And, this, again, they get dedicated weekly time with Mr. Smith, our TOK teacher. And, many programs don't start the TOK until the 2nd semester of their junior year. But we have a dedicated class time every week with Mr. Smith starting right from the beginning so that students really feel like they have the time and the space and the energy to do their best work. So then last is IB Diplomacore extended essay. So this is where candidates select a topic from one of their higher level courses. So it's one of their HL courses that they really like, or that they're really interested in. They'll choose a topic that they learned about in that course, and then they'll work with a faculty mentor to guide their own sort of independent research. And then this culminates in a 4,000-word essay. And, again, we're doing this thing where we are giving students weekly dedicated time with the EE coordinator, Mrs. Van Reeth, who's also their psychology and business management teacher. She has done the DP for many, many years. She is an excellent coordinator and support system for our students. And most schools don't give you that weekly time. So we're really proud of how we handle the Diplomacore at WPS. All right, the IB Diploma program assessments. So there are internal assessments, and I'm going to show you in just a couple slides. I'm going to show you a timeline so that all of these things that I'm kind of throwing out at you here will have some context. So they'll have internal assessments. They have oral exams and presentations. They have external examinations at the end of their senior year. They have their Group 4 project, which is a science project, and they have their extended essay. And the requirements to graduate with an IB diploma. They must satisfy the requirements in the six subject areas, and of course the core. That includes CAS, TOK, and EE. They earn at least 24 total points. They earn no ones on their exams and no more than 2 twos and no more than 3 threes. They earn at least 12 points from those higher level courses and at least 9 points from the standard level courses. Okay. Okay. So what do we do to support students specifically in each grade? And I've kind of given you a lot of examples of what we do already, but this is kind of like a bullet point list. So we have in-class meetings for 10th grade. We have in-class meetings this fall to gauge interest in the DP, in which DP courses they might want to take. And they explore the course offerings with me, with DP teachers, and with the college counselor in order to really start thinking about what they're interested in studying and learning more about. Students work weekly with the college counselor and advisory. This is another just incredible part of our program. I don't know another school that has the students working weekly with a college counselor. So that's another thing that we're doing. The 10th graders will have their official course selection in January, and this is something that parents and students are fully involved in. We help students build a running list of accomplishments, awards, and recognitions to use in preparing their resume and their college apps. And of course, they're going to take the PSAT just to get their, to dip their toes in, just to start to get ready for that. And we like to encourage trying new experiences, finding your individual passions, figuring out what makes you unique. So, and for 11th grade, for 11th grade, students need to really work hard in their classes, and having that dedicated time for those core components is super important. Communication is key. So checking in with our 11th graders, seeing how things are going, and having them checking in with us when they need help is a big part of being successful in the DP. They also work weekly with the college counselor. They're beginning to research colleges this fall. They're going to reach out to teacher mentors in the fields of interest, start building a list of colleges that fit their needs, and they're going to take the PSAT to see if they qualify for the National Merit Scholarships. Okay. And then for 12th graders, which, we don't have our 12th grade class yet, but we will next year, they're going to register for and take their DP external exams. They complete their Group 4 project. They complete all their internal assessments, their core requirements, and then they seek feedback on college essays and applications. Mr. Clark, is there anything you would like to say on that? Or I know that you have a slide coming up as well.
Yeah, no, I'd just add that all of these things are happening together, but they're broken down so that 10th graders have the advantage of an extra year on our 11th graders in terms of the college process and meeting with me. But really, the college process begins in earnest for most students in 11th grade. So it's not that the 11th graders are missing out so much. It's just that last bullet point for the 10th graders that the 11th graders have a little less time for, which is trying the new experiences and finding individual passions. Because the truth is, colleges are trying to craft a class of students, and those students they're looking for fill certain roles for that class. And so the the best way for a lot of students to ensure access to the most selective schools tends to be by finding what it is that their passions are and articulating that in their applications and basically showing what makes them unique. So essentially answering the question, what do you bring to this school and how will that enhance the peers that you meet here and make our school a better place? So yeah, that's all I would add is just the 10th graders have one more year of exploration in terms of finding those passions. The 11th graders can still do that, but it should be a continuing process from here on forward all the way through the point where in 12th grade they actually apply to colleges. So thank you.
Right. Okay.
And yeah, so on that note, college admissions is really a two-way street. So it's kind of an interview process between the students and the colleges. The colleges are going to try to sell themselves to the students, and then the students will need to do the same back. So here I just wanted to show you what colleges are looking for right away when they're evaluating students who have applied. They're looking for these top 3 things, and we could say top 4 things if you include test scores, but some schools are test optional. So it really comes down to the top 3 things. Grades in all courses, college prep grades in college prep courses, which the IB curriculum is, and then strength of curriculum, which the IB curriculum is the strongest curriculum. So students already have 2 of those 3 boxes checked. Now it's just a matter of doing well in terms of the grades they earn. The second box you see there is the moderate to moderate importance and limited importance. So those are categories that some schools will take into consideration, but not all schools. So large state schools won't be able to look that deep into an application. School like UCLA receives 100,000 applications, and simply put, they will not accept writing samples, essays, demonstrated interest. But when you look at the other end of the spectrum, small liberal arts schools, those are the types of things they're looking for. So I just wanted to highlight those areas as also being important in some circumstances. And then I threw a green box down around the work just as a side note. So when I just 15 years ago, when I was in high school, or 20 years ago now, about 60% of high school graduates had some work experience. Nowadays, that number is down to about 10%, and that's because there's shifting focuses and the belief that students need to spend their time doing other things. Well, colleges value students who have work experience because it's real world experience. So I just wanted to make sure that wasn't overlooked, even though you see 30% puts no importance on it. And then, yeah, it ultimately comes down to students spending time exploring who they are and going through the process of just looking deep into who they want to be, what makes them happy, and once they can have a realistic conversation about those topics and really look into who they are essentially, then they can best answer the question of what college is the best fit for me. And so that's a process that I will guide students through as college counselor. We'll do some surveys, we'll use some tools that are available to students who are preparing for college. And whether a student knows what they want to be or whether they're undecided entering college, like about 40% of undergraduate students are undecided, that is, those students will at least have the opportunity to think about their future and write essays that reflect kind of the sincere engagement with that process. So yeah, that's what I'd add there. Thank you, Clarissa.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so here is a timeline for the juniors. So 10th graders, this is what you can expect to see next year. Juniors, this is what you would see this year. So in the fall of your junior year, you're going to start taking your DP classes, and you start immediately planning for your extended essay and your CAS. You take the PSAT, you begin regular meetings with your counselors, our college counselors, and you become familiar with the college search platforms. In
Yeah,
winter, oh, go ahead.
sorry, can I just say, so College Search Platform refers to a program that each student will have access to here soon that will allow them to search careers, build a list of colleges, ultimately submit applications, request recommendations, and everything that goes on in the college search process. And so I say soon because right now I'm in the process of exploring different options that are available, but ultimately this is common for students to use a tool like this. Some names you may have heard are Naviance, Family Connection, SCORE, and other programs. In fact, I'm going to a national conference starting tomorrow, which happens to be in Seattle, thankfully, where I will do some final research on these options for our students, as the conference includes both high school counselors like myself, college admissions reps who I will be networking with, and those who offer products for the college admissions world, such as like Common Application, College Board, and companies like Naviance who offer these platforms for students. So yeah, students will soon have the option to work with those platforms, and parents will also be able to access those tools. So.
All right. So for winter, juniors are still researching colleges with their college counselor and with their parents. It's a great time to visit schools. In a non-COVID world, we would love to take trips to bring students to visit schools. So that's something that we're really looking forward to, and really buckling down and focusing on studies. In the spring, you really start to hit some of your internal assessments. So in design, you start working on your internal assessments, chemistry, HL, language and literature. In your business management, you take AC, SAT prep, and then you take your first SAT or ACT at that time potentially. And then in summer, you continue to work on your extended essay and cast. This is where a lot of your work on these projects get done, is over the summer. And you do essay workshops and more visits, hopefully, to more colleges.
Yeah, and on the visit note, one advantage of COVID, if we can start talking like that, would be that it's forced colleges to use the technology that's available. And that's probably true for all of society as we find ourselves sitting here today on a Teams presentation. I'm sure we've all gotten used to this process, which, a year or 2 years ago wasn't so common, even though maybe the technology was there. So all I'll say is that visits are now much easier because all colleges have ensured that they offer some sort of virtual tour or a much more robust online experience for students to do that research and get a feel for schools that might be a good fit for them. So yeah, I just wanted to add that point that even with COVID and some schools still not wanting students to come to campus, we're hopeful that that will return to being a normal way that people can access schools. But in the meantime, I'll definitely be encouraging our students to access the virtual tours and virtual resources. Thank you.
Right. Senior year timeline. So in the fall, seniors will register for DP exams. They'll take the SAT or ACT one last time. They'll finish their college essays. They'll request rec letters. They'll submit early applications, and they'll finish up their internal assessments. And then winter, they'll be finishing submitting all of their regular decision apps. They'll be looking for scholarships, and they'll be prepping for their IB exams. Exam prep. So preparing for this point, they make their we are IAs, they take their DP exam, usually have to make, depending on the college, but usually have to make a deposit to the college of choice by May 1st, and then graduation. So exciting. And then in the summer, it's usually in July, you receive your exam scores from IB, and then you have those scores sent to colleges. Anything to add there, Mr. Clark?
I would just say that the sending of scores to colleges is optional, so students will have that choice and have that discussion with Ms. Tupin when that time comes. But yeah, it'll be an exciting year for our first group of of graduating seniors, and I can't wait to celebrate all the acceptances and see where everyone ends up.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So what can students do? So we talked a lot about what we can do. Okay. What do students do? Students in ninth grade need to maintain a balanced course load, explore course offerings, work with the school counselor, which they do have, college counseling meetings with the college counselor at this time. They get involved with community-based, leadership-oriented, and extracurricular activities, identify career fields, and again, always keep a list of things that they're doing, awards, and then they can take the PSAT and link their scores to Khan Academy just to keep track of these things. In 10th grade, they'll work with a college counselor and to get ready for their DP courses. They'll complete the IB personal project, which prepares them for research in the DP. They'll start researching colleges, in more intensity. They'll reach out to mentors. And again, they'll take the PSAT. So in 11th grade, they begin the DP. They start thinking about their core. They take the PSAT. They really start to attend college fairs, college prep presentations. They can register for the SAT towards the end of the year, I believe in spring. They just start researching colleges, right? Contacting, just really, visiting, trying to really get a good idea of what they're interested in and where they want to go. And then 12th grade, they need to register for and take their DP external exams, which of course we will help them do. Register for and take SAT, which we will help them. Complete and submit their applications before the deadline, super important. Another big one is requesting transcripts and letters of recommendation. Many students wait too long to do this, and then teachers end up having to write really rushed recommendations. So we really request talking to teachers early about their letters of recs. Working with parents to complete and submit the FAFSA, I don't remember what it stands for. Mr. Clark, do you remember what it stands for? It's the financial aid. It's the federal financial aid.
Federal application for student aid.
There it is. Consider college acceptances and then decide on that college that they're going to attend. We're really excited. It happens pretty quick, everyone. Okay, what can parents do? So I'm not going to read everything on this list. This is going to be available for you to look at. One thing that we really believe in is parents should start visiting college campuses together with kids starting in ninth grade. Take them in the summer and get them excited. It really helps them to see where they're going. Sometimes high school can feel like it never ends to students. So really, taking them early, showing them colleges, it helps motivate them. And it really clicks on this internal motivation for kids when they realize it's not that far away. And it helps them to set goals. So it's a really good thing to do. So, and also, for 10th graders, it's important to continue to visit college campuses, but also to review those PSAT results. That way we can help support students in any way that they need to boost their scores. We can work together to try to figure out how we can support each kid. And it's great when parents and children can work together to make that college wish list together. So when parents have a really good understanding of what their students want in college, it makes it a lot easier to pick a really great list for them to really work on going to. Okay, so for 11th grade, a big thing that parents need to do is recognize that it's a very challenging year. So 11th grade is almost always the most challenging year in a high schooler's life. And it is college, it's like full on DP, full on college prep, and it can be stressful. So just recognizing that, knowing that they're going through a lot, helping them to stay organized, helping them to stay organized really is what it's about. Keep track of things that they need to be working on or doing, checking in with them, making sure that they're getting some downtime, and they're doing things that they enjoy doing. And then for 12th grade, this is where the visiting the colleges of choice become really important. So you're not just visiting any colleges, you're taking them to the ones that they've narrowed down, the ones that they're applying to. You work with a counselor, you work with the IB coordinator to just help kids get ready for DP exams and college counseling. And that's really it. It's a lot of organization and just checking in, and sometimes checking in with the IB coordinator, with the college counselor might be easier than checking in with the busy 12th grader. So you can always feel free to contact us if you're wondering what you can do or how you can help.
Yeah, I would reiterate that and just say I encourage you to check in with me when it comes to those tough conversations about college. As 11th grade goes by and 12th grade comes, the pressure does ratchet up, and so students might be feeling that pressure from whatever sources, whether it's media or their peers or whatever. And so you might feel that sometimes those conversations can be a little bit tough about, hey, how's your college search going? So that's a great time to, send me an email, reach out, schedule an appointment, and we can talk either informally or in a meeting more formally about how things are going, and kind of can give parents a sense of where your student's at without you having to, feel like you're adding to the pressure. So that's definitely an option, something that I've found is very helpful to parents in the past when if and when you have a student who might be a bit resistant to those dinner time talks about college. But with that being said, I do encourage maybe setting some boundaries about those conversations early on. Maybe have a conversation where you can agree to a certain amount of time each week that it's brought up, and then just leave it at that. So maybe like on Monday nights around dinner, that could be the time that it's a open subject. But other than that, it's off limits. Something like that seems to help families manage as students go through this process, because in the end, parents are very helpful, and I will do everything I can to enable parents to be a resource to their students. But it is the student's choice, and they're the ones who have to engage fully with this college process so that they can get the most out of it. Because while they might not be paying for their 4 years of college, or maybe they are, either way, they're the ones who have to live at these college campuses. They're the ones who have to complete the work, and it will be different than high school in the sense that they're going off somewhere, most likely, even if it is just down the road. So yeah, parents are great. I'm here to support that process, and I'll show you how it works as we move forward. So.
All right. So what happens next? So for 10th graders and 11th graders, they're going to be taking the PSAT in October. 10th graders are going to be learning about course offerings over the next couple of months, and they're going to be sharing that with parents. 11th graders are buckling down, they're working hard, and they need to be communicating. The 10th graders, and next, the 10th graders will enroll in their DP classes. Again, that's going to happen in January. They'll start really, 11th graders will really start exploring these different colleges. And then next, 10th graders will review their PSAT results. 11th graders will start their IAs and really, really dig into their CAS and EE, and they'll start to develop some testing strategies. So those are our kind of next few steps in that timeline that we talked about earlier. And so now I'm going to open it up for questions. I would like to say that if you have sort of a general question that is good for the whole group, I welcome those questions now. If you have a specific question, I would encourage you to email either Mr. Clark or me or both, so that we can spend time. I'm happy to have a Teams meeting with any of you where we can really get into the specifics of your child. So yeah, so if anyone has any questions, and I apologize, I'm going to leave my camera off because my internet is not supporting my my camera right now. So do we have any questions? All right, how about Allah?
Hi, I have a question around the academics for 11th graders. Um, if I heard correctly, there will be weekly check-ins for college counseling. Are we going to have a meeting with the counselor, the student, and the parents like sometime soon? So like we look over the plan, and the same applies also for the teachers. Can we have a meeting with the teachers and this, like, not like not something at the end of the semester, but more like, the coming a few weeks, just to make sure that the students, are having a good start and things are on track?
I can answer that. So yeah, for 11th grade families, we will be meeting soon. So I would say in the next couple of weeks, I am going to the national conference in Seattle tomorrow and Friday, and so Monday was the plan to send out emails to each family of 11th graders and welcome appointment time. So and we can meet via Teams, or if necessary, we can do it in person. But yeah, we can have meetings with families and the students. And then Clarissa or Miss Tupin, if you want to answer the question regarding meetings with teachers.
So in general, meeting with teachers is going to be kind of up to the student at this point in the year if they need to if they need to communicate, or they want to, or they have questions, or parents have questions. Just reaching out to individual teachers is really the way to go at this point in the year. Now in spring, once we really get going and students start working on some of their internal assessments, that might be a different story at that point. So we'll kind of reassess as we start moving through the year. All right. I hope I'm saying your name right. Is it Mahadi?
Majdi.
Majdi. Okay. Hello.
So based on what I saw on the slides and the conversation, that the presentation, it seems that the IP diploma test itself doesn't really affect the admission process that much, right? It's optional to send the score, but it's what really decides things. The deciding factor is your grades in the school and the schoolwork. Is that correct?
Um, and I think both Mr. Clark and I can speak to this. So I think yes and no. So there are some colleges who care more about the IB score at the end than others. And so, and we really, to know, we have to sort of create that relationship with each college where we gain an understanding, and that's something Mr. Clark can speak to a lot more, where we gain an understanding of how much colleges want the IB scores. I know that while it's less common, there are colleges that will do conditional acceptances based on the IB scores. So it's like, yes, we accept you because your school score looks great and it looks like you're going to do good, but we're only, this is conditional based on your IB scores. I think that is less frequent, but there are some that do. And then there are many universities, especially now, that care less about that final score. Maybe they want it, but they don't have a conditional acceptance, or maybe they don't even ask you to submit it. So it's a mixed bag, I think. And so as
So
we get closer to knowing what colleges each student is interested in applying to, then we'll have more answers to that, more specific answers to that question.
okay, so
Yeah.
you already have the list of these colleges?
So there isn't a list per se. And so what I can say for the results is it's much more common for international schools to offer conditional acceptances. So schools in Canada, the UK, the students will go through the same timeline of applying in fall of senior year, right towards the end of the semester in fall. And then those international schools will come back with what Ms. Tupin referred to, a conditional acceptance, and they may or may not make that conditional acceptance contingent upon the actual results of the IB exam. The higher selectivity the school, say Cambridge or Oxford, the more likely they're going to condition it upon the actual results in the IB exam, which as you may have noticed, come out in July. So what that means is students won't have those on their application when they apply in November, December. And when it comes to US schools, the only way that those exam results directly impact the students' admissions is if a school, which some do in the US, especially the more selective the school gets, if a school requests predicted grades. So the IB teachers will provide a predicted grade for each class in the fall of senior year. And so those predicted grades don't automatically go to colleges with students' applications, but for certain schools like NYU, for instance, is one school that will request predicted grades for students, and so then they will be sent off, and then a school like NYU will use that as part of their holistic review. So one of the pieces in the puzzle, along with GPA, strength of curriculum, and other factors. But NYU is not doing a conditional acceptance; they are outright accepting students, or deferring them or denying them. And then if a student is accepted for a US school that doesn't do conditional acceptances, it is somewhat true that the IB final results in July won't impact that decision. The only way it would be if a student really just totally misses the mark, and say didn't pass any subject, so got like a 2 or less on every subject, in which case the school could come asking, and then that would be a tough conversation to have with those potential colleges. But yeah, does that somewhat answer your question?
Yeah, to answer the question, but there's a follow-up question to that is, so the grades at the school really matters, and honestly, we've been at the school, this is like the third year, and I'm still fuzzy on how the grading system is translating to the GPA, which is what the universities do. And I'm not really sure, like when I'm having the conversation with my son about how he's approaching the work and what we should be aiming for, like what are considered good grades, where our students can be top competitive applicants for these universities, right? Is a 4 acceptable? Is a 5 acceptable? What they should be aiming for? Can they achieve a 6 or a 7? How are we grading them? Like this, honestly, I don't have really clarity on this.
Yeah, so I mean, the grades are definitely important. And so what I'll say about, first of all, how colleges will view it is every applicant, or every application that a student submits goes along with a school profile, which is a document that explains to colleges how grading works at our school. So that will be a document that, families can see once it's prepared for next year's senior students. But when it comes to the student individually figuring out how to do well in individual classes, that's definitely a place where the student is encouraged to speak with the teacher and try their best to, understand how grading works in each individual class, because yeah, that's definitely preparing a
There
student for
doesn't seem
college.
to be a common criteria across the classes.
No,
Yeah,
Like,
I'll let
there
Felicity speak
absolutely
to that.
is common criteria across all of the classes, and it is the thing that the GPA scoring difference. So I've read so many and watched so many videos from colleges talking about GPA versus the IB score, because there's this, and I think it's kind of alluding to what you're saying, that many
yeah,
students worry about going into the DP program because they might not have as high of a GPA if they do the DP, because the DP is so much more rigorous than a lot of other programs, other curricular programs in high schools. And what I see over and over again, and really, I mean, I can show you these. You can they're these studies, these interviews. They're really easy to find where they say choose IB over GPA every time, because the IB is rigorous and accepted at these colleges. And so I know that it's tough to acclimate to the IB scoring system, but if you want to make an appointment with me, please email me and we can go through and we can look at the criteria for all of the DP classes, because it's different than it's slightly different. It's similar to what it was in the MYP, but they're still using all of the same grading criteria. It's still summative assessments are still being scored the same way. So yes, I can give you a lot more information on that. Please email me and we can talk about that more.
Yeah, that'll be great, because honestly, it's also it's causing stress for my son, because he's always trying to convert between the DB grading and between a GPA, right?
Right.
And that shouldn't be happening. The students shouldn't be looking at it from that perspective based on what you're saying.
Well,
But we
it's
need to
just
make that
hard not
we need
to.
to make that clear to the students, right?
Yeah, I mean that's what it always is, though. I mean, it's hard to adjust the way that we understand grades and the way that we understand uh, grades and effort. We are raised to think about things as an average or a percentage, which is how other grades work. And right, IB doesn't work that way. So it's really hard to sort of train ourselves to not focus on that. But again, I'm happy to meet with you and your student, and we can really hash that out class to class.
Perfect. I'll send an email set up sometime. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you.
And
All
I'll
right.
just answer one question from the chat on how will the school help with test prep. So there will be test prep experiences for students taking place in the spring. So the plan is to offer some exposure to the ACT and then a after school type setting where students can sign up for SAT test prep. That's still being ironed out as it's my first year, and one of the things that's on my radar, but ultimately there will be some opportunities for students to sign up for more rigorous test prep that will happen like in an after school setting. But in the same token, I have the advisory time each week with students, and at that time we will also do some test prep. So even if a student is not spending that larger chunk of time outside of class working with me, there will be exposure in class. And for instance, with the PSAT happening in 3 weeks, I'll be sending out a packet of information for students to prep on their own. And then in that advisory time over the next few weeks, we will do practice together. So and today in meetings with the 10th and 11th grade, we started that discussion. So yeah, in short, the answer is there will be a number of ways that test prep will happen here specifically. And then more generally for each individual student, that will be part of our conversation, both between me and the student and when we meet as a large group, the family, student, and me all together. We can come up with that testing strategy that was alluded to in the slideshow. So.
All right, so we're approaching the end of our meeting here. If there are no other questions, we will conclude. But please, this is not the last time that we're gonna be talking. You guys are gonna see me all of the time, and I really encourage you to reach out to me. I will send you the link to my calendar, and we can set up a meeting. Same with Mr. Clark. We can have one together or separate. You can send your kids to me. We can talk. We are super happy to work with you. So thank you everyone for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Yeah, and just to confirm, Ms. Tupin, we do plan to share this PowerPoint after the meeting for those
Yes.
who are not present and for families who are here to review. Okay.
Yep, we'll be sharing the recording and the PowerPoint.
All right, just wanted to make sure that's clear. So at this point, I will stop the recording and thank you all for taking your time to be with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good